For those of you who either don't know or don't remember, I purchased the original Surface Duo on launch day, which I believe was September the 10th, 2020. We are a little over a year removed from that time, and since then, I did use the Surface Duo as my only mobile device for a really long time, for months and months and months. In fact, I did a review, I did a 3-month review, and I did a 6-month review as well of this device as the updates came out, as it got better, it got worse, whatever was going on, I was covering. Now, sometime in about April, I took my SIM out of my Surface Duo and I put it into a Galaxy Z Fold 2, and I've really enjoyed that device. Now, since then, I did still use my Duo. I wanted to kind of keep an idea of what was going on. I've still covered. I've talked about apps that worked and apps that got broken and all these sorts of things. But over the last maybe 2-3 months, as Surface Duo has gotten no substantial software updates at all, nothing but security patches, I got to admit, I pretty much stopped using the thing because I didn't really need to at that point. Surface Duo 2 was on the horizon and nothing new was happening with Surface Duo 1. However, with Surface Duo 2 on the horizon, and I'm soon to have a unit in my hand to be able to review this thing for you guys, October 21st. We're very close to that. I knew that I needed to put my SIM back into the original Surface Duo. So a little less than a week ago, I did go ahead and do that, and I've been using the original Surface Duo as my daily driver again for that time span so that I can truly know where this device is right now and how much better or worse Surface Duo 2 is from that device. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to give you an update on how I feel about a week in to using the original Surface Duo as my daily driver again. And we're going to start with the negative things first because I just feel like we need to get them out of the way. So the very first thing I noticed when I switched back to the original Surface Duo is just an overall feeling of jank. Now, this is likely to be a combination of a lot of factors. So I'm coming from a Z Fold 2, which has that 120 hertz refresh rate. It's going to have a better touch polling rate. It's going to have a way better touch digitizer, and just a less buggy software experience. So when I'm using the original Surface Duo, and I'm just moving around and launching apps, everything seems to have this slight delay that I'm not used to being there. And if you saw that there, whenever I'm opening and closing this app, there's a weird little hitch as it zooms out and then it goes, or it zooms in and then it goes. There's this weird hitch that's there. Not all the time. A lot of the time, I will grab my phone and I will try to open up an app like that right there, and you won't be sure necessarily if this thing responded or not. Sometimes you touch an app and it just doesn't launch, it just sits there. So there's this overall feeling of jankiness. And I mentioned the touch digitizer early, the digitizer in Surface Duo. So this is the thing that when you're touching the screen, this is what's picking up those touches. It's been replaced in Duo 2, and I'm hopeful that it is a world's better experience because I'm pretty well convinced that that is a lot of what's wrong with the original Surface Duo. Because the same thing is true. Sometimes I'll be in an app and I'll go to swipe up to go home. I did it literally right there on command, I promise you. And instead of going home, I'm scrolling in Twitter because it didn't pick up my touch until it was halfway up the screen already. So people complained about typing. Sometimes you're typing, it just doesn't pick up that you touch something, or picks up you touch somewhere you didn't touch. Things like that. Navigation being awkward, launching apps being awkward. People complained and said it was the Snapdragon 855. I'm convinced it's the touch digitizer that's at fault in these situations, or at least in a lot of these situations. So hopefully that is going to be fixed. But there's just an overall level of just lag, unresponsiveness, and jankiness. One of the worst culprits of this to me is with using the camera. So let's just launch the camera and take a picture of my own camera. You can watch the screen and just see how all this plays out, okay? So I'm going to try really carefully not to touch any of the screens here. I'm just going to fold this thing around. How long is this taking? Okay, that takes a second, right? Let's go ahead and launch the camera. Relatively quick. Let's rotate it. How long did that take to rotate? It's another couple of beats, right? So what I'm getting at here when I'm showing you this is that how much jank, judder, lag, etc. do you get just trying to launch the camera? And, look, about half the time I try to launch the camera, I go to do this, and I launch an app on accident. It has to reload. Sometimes I accidentally bring up the multitasking screen. I got to like swipe up to go home again. It feels like every time I try to launch the camera, I'm like fighting a losing battle against the software and against the hardware and so forth. So all that stuff is pretty bad. I do also have to point out that my part-time job, which luckily I'm only there like 3 days a week or something like that, but it's in a warehouse and it's in kind of a crappy signal area in Knoxville. And with my Z Fold 2, which is over there somewhere now with dust slowly accumulating on it, tears, I had pretty hit or miss signal in that building, but most of the places in the building, I could at least get or send a text message. I could load things for the most part. With Surface Duo, I am on Mint Mobile using T-Mobile towers, and this thing is missing a particular band that T-Mobile does use for some of those thinner areas. I have like no signal at all unless I'm physically outside of that building. So that is extremely frustrating. Surface Duo 2, this should not be a problem there, but right now, while I'm at work, it is effectively unusable. If anyone needs to get a hold of me, they just can't. Now, there's also some software problems here that are more visible that I can just kind of show you here. And here's a screenshot of one. This happened in the very first day that I did this. The launcher just was not happy with me, and it was doing weird things. A little bit later, it got this. I'm typing over here in Discord. My keyboard's over here for some reason. Don't know why that would be happening. Here's another one. I was text messaging my mom, and I've got a video up, and guess what? I don't even have a keyboard now. I had no way to type to her. I had to like close everything and try over and over, then the keyboard finally popped back up. So these sorts of things are extremely frustrating. I also had the thing happen a couple of times now where the one screen has gone black, in particular when it's in my car dock and I'm hitting a road that's kind of bumpy. It freaks the thing out and it shuts one of the screens off, and that's super irritating, in particular when you've got your tunes up on one screen and navigation on the other, and the navigation screen goes black and you have to quickly get over there and get your navigation pulled back up before you miss your exit or something like that. That's extremely irritating. I also tried taking a photo the other night here with, it's not dark even. It's like the sun is still not quite, all the way down yet. Here we are. I mean, just to remind you guys, the detail in these photos as this loads is pretty horrifically bad. I mean, could you post this on Instagram and nobody would bat an eye? Yeah, probably, but this is not a great photo. So all of that stuff, I would consider to be the negatives. I'll also point out here, this was like maybe the second day it switched back to it. This was the battery life, and I thought this was actually fine. I got almost 4 hours of screen time using book mode almost exclusively. It's not outstanding, but like it's serviceable. It definitely got me to the end of the day before I was able to charge the thing with no problem. So battery, not really a huge concern, and it should be quite a bit better even on Surface Duo 2. But those are the negatives of using Surface Duo 2 again in October of 2021. But what about the positives? And there are positives. I can tell you something right now. Within, just a few minutes of using this thing, this is subjective, but I like the way that this thing looks. I still do. I still think it looks unique and clean and different. And when I hold it and I look at it, it does something to me. I can't explain it, but I really do like the way this thing looks and feels in the hand. Something else that you start noticing very, very quickly when you're using Surface Duo is that you just start doing two things at once. Maybe you're scrolling through Twitter and you see a news article that you want to read. So you open that thing up and there's something in there that you want to take a note about. So you go home and you open up OneNote and you start jotting down a note real quick as you're referencing the stuff that's on the other screen. Or maybe I'm in Reddit and I get an email, but I don't want to lose track of where I was whenever I go to open up my email. So I can open that up on the other screen and do what I need to do there. It really shocked me how quickly I fell back into that workflow of opening two apps and referencing one app while I'm in another, watching a video while I'm taking notes, reading a press release, reading a news article and taking notes about ideas, about things to talk about. Reading a tweet from someone that I thought was interesting and then jotting down a note in OneNote so I could remember to talk about it in a video or to ruminate about it later. What about setting the lineup in my fantasy football team while I'm reading news about my players on the other screen, or perhaps using, one of these apps that helps you manage your fantasy football team, or just reading scores and things like that. It works so well. that workflow just starts popping back up immediately because, like I said, when you've got one app open and you want to do something else, you don't actually have to close that first app to do the other thing. And so you start leaving the first app open, and it just opens up different possibilities in your mind. So to me, even with all the negative stuff I just mentioned, and I mentioned more negative things than I'm going to say positive things, the magic of Surface Duo is still there for me. I'm enjoying having these big, wide screens. Believe it or not, I actually do like using it in phone mode. I like this big, wide display to type on. It feels good to me. I enjoy having that extra screen real estate. So to me, if they're going to give us Surface Duo with that magic, with that workflow that I do love, and they're going to fix the touch digitizer, they're going to give us faster performance opening and closing these apps, which hopefully gets rid of some of that judder. And if not the processor helping with that stuff, if not the RAM helping with that stuff, maybe they've actually fixed the software, which is the actual problem. You can brute force bad software into running well with excess power, but maybe they've done both now. If they've gotten rid of the need for me to fold the thing around into phone mode and use the gyroscopes and all this crap to be able to take a picture, then effectively, we'll have the device that I wanted in the beginning. We'll have all the magic without any of the downsides. Real quick, for those that were wondering, perhaps, what do I miss from my Z Fold compared to Duo? I miss having a really good, really fast camera. I don't miss a really skinny, narrow cover display, although I do probably miss a little bit the ability to just pull the phone out and look at it instead of pull the phone out, open it. Not a huge deal, but it's something worth mentioning for sure. I do miss having really loud speakers that sound really good and bassy and full. Oh my God, Duo speakers are terrible. I forgot to mention that earlier, but I'll put it here, and Duo 2 has stereo speakers, so let's go. I miss having wireless charging, which we're not going to get that, unfortunately. And I miss that high refresh rate. I miss that super consistent software where every time I touch an app, it just opens and everything's just so fast. That's what I miss from my Z Fold 2. So guys, that's what it's been like for me using Surface Duo 2 in 2021, October of 2021, over the last week or so. Stay tuned for more coverage like this as Surface Duo 2 does launch. I will have it day one, unboxing reviews, camera reviews, anything you can possibly imagine about Surface Duo 2. I'll be talking about it right here on this channel, so make sure to get subscribed if you're not already subscribed. And like I said, stay tuned for more content just like this, and until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.